Hey guys, Bike here, and I'm coming at you guys again today with another Last Epoch video. This one's going to be about the Squirrels Beastmaster build. As you guys know, or maybe don't know, for the past 2 weeks I've been streaming this build. I used the max roll guide for the Squirrels build. Started from the beginning, went all the way through. Side note, you can't really start this build at level 1. You can do something similar with wolves, but the build really comes online at level 73. So if you're clicking on this video and you're going, oh, I want to play this build like right from the get, it requires one specific unique, which we will go through. So, I kind of did my own thing all the way up to level 73, switched over and followed the guide, and I wanted to go over what I found, what little tweaks, changes I've made, or how close I got, how realistic, because I will say the max roll guide is very aspirational. Everything is a sealed exalted item. Everything has max T7 slams on the uniques, turn them into legendaries. It's a good thing to shoot for, but after 2 weeks of playing, I'm going to show you guys how close I got. There will be links in the description to both the max roll guide as well as a build planner that I put out just showing what gear I got here. We made it to level 97, and yeah. So let's hop into the game, go over the skills, all that sort of things, and we'll go from there. All right, here we are in the game. So right now there's going to be some footage playing. This is 376 corruption. The build is good. I do find that at later stages of the build, the higher corruption you push, you might have to start focusing on defenses a little bit. In the footage, if you can see, a lot of the times I'm not running up and smacking stuff. I'm like having to kind of like run away, tell the squirrels to do something, and just try and avoid enemies and just make sure the squirrels do their thing. And I will say, like, there's gonna come a point where the squirrels start to die, and it does get a little painful. In the footage they don't die, but it does get a little painful trying to resurrect them or having to run far enough away to where you can just resummon them again. But other than that, the build is a lot of fun. So let's hop into the game and see what we got. All right, so let's start off with the gear. This is what I was referring to at the beginning of the video. You're going to need a Herald of the Scurry helm. Now, you can run this build without Herald of the Scurry, but I'm just going to say it's not going to be the Squirrels build. You can take all the nodes. You can take all the nodes, all the whatever, and you can do this with wolves, but it will not be squirrels. Nonetheless, I'm assuming you've maybe come across this helmet. You typed in Squirrels build or something like that into the YouTube search and you found me. Thank you very much. And this is the helmet that's going to do that. In the max roll guide, they would like you to have LP1, you slam it with a tier 7 summon wolves. I don't got that. I did, however, find a regular Herald of the Scurry with the implicit of +3 summon wolves already. So what this does is you can set up the nodes and everything just right to where you can have 5 wolves. When you equip Herald of the Scurry, it allows you to summon 2 squirrels for every wolf. So that's 10 squirrels. Hence right here why we got a little picture, a little portrait of squirrels with the number 10 next to it. We have 10 squirrels. And this helmet is great. Allows you to shred resistances, apply bleed, and your howl ability, which you use a lot, is replaced by Skirine Rage, which grants 40% increased movement speed and melee attack speed for the squirrels. Next, I got decently close to the axe they want in the squirrel build, but here is my first change. They want you to have a T7 minion melee damage. I got a T6. Oh well. But underneath that, in the other suffix, they actually would want you to have shred armor. I personally, by the time I found this axe, was already at the point where if I ran up and started trying to smack something to shred their armor, I was getting chunked. And one problem I have with the build is there's not a lot of sustain. I'm constantly drinking potions. I don't know if you guys can see right now. I currently have 0 potions because I just did a run and I had to chug all my potions and get the hell out of Dodge at 376 corruption. So I personally, this is Bike speaking, personally opted for more minion melee damage to allow the Squirrels to do their thing. Because they don't get the benefit from chance to shred on armor if I have it on my axe. They don't get that. That's only if I'm running up there and shredding. Now, they have a small chance to shred. I see them shred some armor. I personally think they already do a ton of damage on their own. So I just wanted to... they do a ton of damage, and they have a decent amount of chance to shred. And seeing that if I ran up and tried to smack something, I was getting chunked. I was just like, here's more damage, guys. You do the work. I run away. Bam. For this chest piece, I got kind of close to what they wanted. It would prefer that instead of physical resistance, you would have percentage health, and you would have strength instead of +2 to tornado, which I don't even have in the build, but this was the only T7 added minion melee crit chance I've ever come across, and it's on the base that they want, so I did what I could. Here is another thing you could try. I did try running this. It did feel like my damage fell off a little bit, but where is it? Right here. You can run something like this with percentage health. I was able to seal a physical resistance on there. That's whatever. If you guys know anything about sealing, it's a lot easier to seal something that's level 1 instead of level 4. It had physical resistance already on there. I sealed it right away so I can just start adding stuff. This one doesn't have strength. The build guide calls for a lot of strength in multiple places. I personally don't have strength in a lot of places. I tried, but you guys will see as we go through it. But I think this is perfectly acceptable. Your damage will fall off, but this will make you a little bit tankier. And with this, if you have something like this, then perhaps, maybe taking the shred armor is not a bad idea. But for what I had at the time I was doing it, I opted for more minion melee damage. That's how we got here. Commander's Eternal Gauntlets of Sparks. What the build guy calls for is Julra's Obsession. It's the Julra gloves. They call for a T7 melee attack speed on there. I did find 2 Julra's Obsessions, and when I slammed them, I was horribly needless to say, I found low rolls and I slammed them with T7 melee attack speed, and I would get like the most random stats on there. I will say, I don't think the health regen is bad. Health regen could be a play on this build, since we don't get a lot of the main way you heal on this build is melee leech that you do. Since you don't do a lot of damage, you don't leech back a lot, so in my case I'm chugging potions. So if you have some health regen on your gear, you might be able to make that work, but I didn't go down that line. I was just like, hey, armor mitigation, armor, extra minion damage, some melee attack speed, lightning resistance I don't really need anymore, a little bit more melee leech even though it doesn't really do much, and health. That's what I opted for. The armor and the damage mitigation is what I was really looking for. This is just an example pair of gloves, but build guide does call for Julra's Obsession. Now the build guide does call for Solarum boots, if I'm not mistaken. Hold please. Alright, welcome back. They were called Solarum Greaves. My bad, chat. So I actually found a halfway decent pair, and the reason why I'm not using this versus this is my fire resistances are already pretty good. The build guide uses this as a way to really, kind of cap your fire resistance in conjunction with Ribbons of Blood. This gave more armor, more strength, and more health the way I have these boots set up. But this one's not too bad either, especially with the health regen. I could play around with this and possibly use this. Plus, it's a pretty much a max T7 movement speed. So Solar and Greaves are a good pickup. I just opted for a little bit more armor, but nonetheless, you're looking for something like this. The build guide does call for some cooldown reduction, which you get from your chest piece. I believe they're looking for cooldown reduction on your belt, but you can also get cooldown reduction on your boots. So you might be able to play around and, you know, maybe come up with something. I'll show you guys one belt. Try not to laugh. So I got some okay stats. The problem is I have found so few Praetorian belts that this was just best in slot for me. Yeah, elemental damage over time, we're not using that. The armor is what we're looking for. The 13% endurance was actually okay. It plays well with the endurance that you get with this ring and from the druid passive tree. The hybrid health, minion damage, like I felt like I got 3 out of the 4 stats I was looking for. Cooldown reduction does help in this build a decent amount, but I just did without. I wanted the armor. This is what I got stuck with. For the relic, this is a huge departure from the relic that they call for. The relic they call for is like one of those Dreamcatcher type relics. It also gives you a ton of like resistances for different skills. That's how you make up a lot of your resistances with that relic. They also call for a +4 to Frenzy Totem. I have not found a plus anything to Frenzy Totem other than like a level 1 that I broke down for shards. So that is something that I could definitely improve on. I've had this relic since pretty much level 66 or whatever level I got this at. It's one of the earliest pieces of the in-game build that I picked up. Had minion damage, had cold resistance, had health. I needed these. That's what I went with. Definitely can get some improvement in the relic slot. This is another laughable part of the build. Tried to slam this with some minion damage, or no, I tried to slam this with a T7 strength, and I got necrotic damage. It's the best I can do in this particular case. Oh well. Shield. In their guide, they call for Bastion of Honor. And actually, their Bastion of Honor does not have LP. I did find Bastion of Honor with LP. I haven't slammed it yet. And the reason why is I don't have a lot of strength on the build that the build guy was calling for. And they want you to be as close to 100 strength as possible. The reason why, let's look up Bastion of Honor. Let me just show you guys what we're working with here. So here's my Bastion of Honor that I found with LP. You get 1% block chance per point of strength against enemies within 4 meters. So if you get shot by something off screen, yeah, you're not going to get that block chance. Sucks. But most of the time, you're going to be, like, ideally in the face of enemies with this build. And that's why the build guide calls for Bastion of Honor. It makes sense. So you're going to be looking for around 80 strength in the build. And the reason why is that'll give you the 1% block chance against enemies. You'll be around 80% against enemies within 4 meters. You'll have around 80% block chance. You get 14% from the implicit, and you can pick up a few more percentages other places, and there you go. You'll also get some strength from Bastion of Honor itself. That's all well and good, but Cradle of the Erase, I actually released a video on this a while ago. When it was back when I was playing Paladin in beta trying to farm a Bastion of Honor. I ended up just going with Cradle of the Erase because if you find a ton of these and you can just keep using them until you can get some good rolls. I got some decent rolls here. I got a T7 all resistance and a T7 minion health, both very usable. If I could have gotten, maybe a little bit less, maybe a T5 minion health and like a T4 reduced damage taken on block, that would have been nice. But nonetheless, This shield is really nice. I highly recommend Cradle the Erase, but yes, Bastion of Honor would be best in slot here. It's just really easy way to get a halfway decent block chance and block effectiveness. The main drawback to Cradle the Erase is if you actually do get hit, you lose that stack of block Aegis. And when you do that, your block chance goes down. So there's shields out there. You can set it up to have 100% block chance all the time. That's going to be really effective. This is really good for spurts. Like you get hit a couple times, you lose a couple golden Aegis stacks, and you lose some of your block chance, but then you kill the enemy real fast, and then it goes back up, and then you go to your next pack, whatever you're doing. It really begins to show itself when you're fighting bosses or rare enemies or something with a lot of health, and the battle's taking a while, and you're constantly getting hit, and your block chance is always going lower and lower all the time. But nonetheless, I think this is a great shield to, you know, pick up a couple, use a couple, see what you can get. The all resistance stat was very nice. I highly recommend it. The Fane. I slammed like 4 or 5 of these, and I finally got minion damage to go over onto this one. And yeah, the build guide calls, I believe, for health and minion damage. They're expecting you to have a 2 LP. I've never found a 2 LP. I found a 1 LP. I do play Circle of Fortune. I got to find my gear. So if you're playing Merchant's Guild and you're watching this, see if you can't just go buy a 2 LP Fane. Go from there. Anyway, that is the gear. This is what I found. This is probably going to be the most unique part of the build, along with the idols and the blessings. But next, let's go into idols. So the build guide called for 2 idols with critical strike avoidance on them. I found a big one and a large one. I think these are called huge. Yeah. So this is pretty much what you're looking for. Percentage health, critical strike avoidance. I found that. I unfortunately have not been able to find another one like this since. But I did find a huge idol with minion melee critical strike chance on there. Same as the roll on this one. As well as critical strike avoidance. So this paired with the blessing, I'm at 100% critical strike avoidance now. It's very nice. I like it a lot. The build guide does call for a couple of these idols right here, and one of them to have like your poison resistance or whatever. This is literally the only idol I ever found from the build guide that calls for, you know, chance to gain haste on summoning a totem and minion melee attack speed. I've literally just done without. Literally done just without. I took health idols, and then I took poison resistance to help make up for the severe lack of poison resistance I had. Without these idols, my poison resistance would be pitiful. And yeah, that's what I did with the idols. A huge departure from there, but I just had to do what I could. I just had to do what I could. Next, let's go over to the blessings. So, unique drop rate. You can literally take whatever you're looking for. XP is fine. Gold is fine. I've always just run unique drop rate, and that's what I've gone with. Because sometimes you will find some stuff. Like, literally the other day on stream, I opened a chest like this. And we found... You can already see what I'm typing. We found a red ring of Atlaria from just a normal reward chest. I'm not saying that it's because I took Grand Winds of Fortune, but I'm sure this had a part to play in it. So this is why I like to run unique drop rate. You never know what kind of random unique will drop in the world. I do attribute some of this to this. There we go. Next, we ran helmet drop rate. The reason why you're always trying to find a better herald of the scurry kind of goes hand in hand with this. Void resistance. This is a great one to pick up from the Black Sun timeline. Two-handed axe drop rate. You might be wondering, why did I do that? Well, I run other builds, and I was looking for another two-handed axe. I could possibly slam it into Apathy's Maw for a different build. You would probably want one-handed axe in this. I took two-handed axe. There you go. Lightning resistance from the Lagan timeline. Get yourself a Grand Bliss into this, and then don't go back. Relic shard drop rate. I took this to try and find a better try and find the Fury of the Totem shards. I'm losing I'm losing my train of thought here. Yeah, I took this to try and find Fury Totem shards, and we all know how that played out. Critical strike avoidance, highly. This is best in slot from that timeline, which kind of sucks because there's a lot of good ones in the Reign of Dragons timeline, but this is the one I went with. Skill shard drop rate. I hate Elder Gaspar. I hate the Last Ruin timeline. Well, I don't hate the timeline, I hate the boss, and I'm not going to farm a timeline if I'm just going to avoid the boss. Does that make sense? Timeline is cool because you can get unique relics, but I hate the boss so much. I literally went and got a Grand Blessing. It's a lousy roll. Nonetheless, I got this and I left it alone. I have not been back since the end. Grand Bulwark of the Tundra, 50% increased armor. Now, this is another departure because the guide calls for the blessing that gives you block chance and block effectiveness. That is a good one, but I personally was trying to get all the armor I could because I was lacking in armor. So instead of opting for the block chance blessing, I went for percentage armor increase, and I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that. And then flat armor. This helps out a lot. It goes hand in hand with this. Two of my favorite blessings in the game right here are these two. They did get a nerf going into 1.0. Still some of the best blessings you can get from those two timelines. All right, that is the blessings. So let's get into the skills. All right, well, if you want to run squirrels, you got to take wolves. Let's go over wolves. Side note, I have not changed anything in this tree from the build guide, so I will literally show you what I took in case you don't want to go look at the build guide. You just want to see what I took, but I took exactly what they called for. On the hunt, Howl of the Might, we don't need to take safety in numbers because we have the Fane. The Fane replaces that, allows us to put a point somewhere else. But if you don't have the Fane, you can take a point in safety in numbers and then literally use whatever amulet you want. But this one's pretty nice because it gives the minions melee physical damage as well as it gives you some health. Flat minion damage is a boon to your minions in this game. So yeah. We also took Savage Hunters, Victory Howl, Snarl. This kind of helps on kill, kind of helps your minions sometimes howl. It's fun. Savage Hunters, Legendary Bite. This one's kind of nice, gives your minions some base melee critical strike chance. Tundra Stalkers, Winterborn, and Pack Hunters gives you more wolves, which helps because that gives you more squirrels in the end. Swipe, like I said, followed the guide, but nonetheless, I'll go over what we had here, though I will discuss a few alternatives. 3 points in Aspect of the Panther. While you have Aspect of the Panther, you also have Global Attack Speed and Wild Calling. This may seem kind of weird, but especially when you have the build set up the right way and you're just attacking super fast and you're using swipe, you'll be seeing spirit wolves all over the place. And I know the damage doesn't look super well, but it is physical damage. And when you're spamming the absolute bejesus out of this and hitting an enemy, this damage does stack up quite nicely. So yes, especially if you got a lot of melee attack speed, you can take a hit. The Spirit Wolves node is highly recommended. 2 points in Blood Beast for the bleed chance, which we'll go over. It gets converted into something else. Swipe has a chance to shred physical resistance, and then 1 point in Duality in Nature helps you get back some of your mana and a little bit of health. I'd say the health gain's nothing to write home about. It's not going to be replacing Health Leech or chugging potions or anything like that. but it helps. 4 points in Wingardium Reach. Basically, you have a wider area of effect, and swipe deals more damage. And then 2 points in Culling. This helps out immensely. You have no idea. There's been some bosses where it's been like back and forth. It's been a struggle. You see him get below 14% or at 14% health. You hit him with one swipe, he's dead. Or she's dead, depending on who you're fighting. All right. So alternatives. So if you wanted to take these 3 points out of Wild Calling, you could put 1 point in Claws of the Bear. Now this is why you'd have to take 3 points out of Spirit Wolves. Swipe now is a cooldown. It does more damage and it could slow enemies, but it has a cooldown. So all that melee attack speed means bupkis. But the reason why is Primal Resonance. If when you use swipe and hit at least one enemy, your nearest companion will howl, which will cause all of your companions around them to howl as well. So it allows you to howl much more often, and it will heal that companion. This is nice. I've run this. I personally thought it was kind of boring, but it was recommended to me by somebody in the Twitch chat. They were like, hey, check it out. So I did, and it's okay. Honestly, it might be more useful now that I can't just get in there and smack people, but leveling up, it was boring. It was like, smack. Okay, smack. You know what I'm saying? And then you get Lupine Attunement. You take a point here. You hit an enemy with swipe. You have a 100% chance. Spirit Wolves will come out. It's nowhere near as much as you get from Wild Calling, but nonetheless, can give you some of those Spirit Wolves. Frenzy Totem. This is really important. If I had that +4 and this was a 24, I'd put the rest of my points in Reinforced Totem. But I'll go over what I took, which was what the guide called for. Grounded, 50% less mana cost, more global melee damage, and the Frenzy Totem now spawns really close to you. That's fine. This really makes your wolves go insane. You put down a Frenzy Totem, you use Howl, and the damage is just bonkers. Rabbity, was it Rabbity? That's a name for you. Frenzy effect increase. Companion melee physical damage. This is where they get a bunch of extra physical damage. Increased critical strike chance granted by Wolf Howl. It's really good for them. They get a whole bunch of critical strike chance with this. And Furious Cry. Frenzy Totem refreshes Howl. Or in this case, Secure Iron Rage, but I'm going to call it Howl. War Cry. All right, so you got Deep Roar, Battle Cry. Oh, you use this, your allies gain 100% increase critical strike chance. Over here, we convert it from a stun into a freeze. So when you use War Cry, it normally just stuns enemies. But what it also does is it also pushes enemies back a little bit. It's kind of annoying in my opinion. When you do this, it instead freezes them. They don't get pushed back, and you can just go ham and cheese on them. I like this one a lot. This was a good pickup. Good call out to them. Also allows your minions to gain the cold tag. So if you're able to get like some cold flat damage on there, that helps. Enemies affected by Warcry also gain an increase. Crit chance goes hand in hand with that. That's an extra 200% critical strike chance when you use Warcry. I'd say the main problem with it is it has a bit of a long cooldown, which is why cooldown reduction is important. In the build, I personally have done without, but nonetheless, yeah, cooldown reduction can help. Invulnerable after Warcry for 1 second. This can help if you're about to die. You Warcry, you freeze the enemy. You become invulnerable for a second. You start swiping them. You leech back some of that health. You drink a potion. It's great. Berserker. Mostly applicable to bosses because when you activate Warcry, Berserker is like a passive buff that stacks up a number of times and gives you attack speed. Most of the time you use this against regular enemies, they're dead in a second later anyway, and then you lose all stacks. But if you're going up against a boss, you use Warcry and you're hitting them with swipe. If you don't stop hitting them, you'll keep gaining stacks up to like 12 or 14, and then you'll be getting all these bonuses of, you know, you get the berserk duration, you get the attack speed, you're doing extra damage. It's cool. It's great for bosses, not so much other packs of enemies, maybe the every once in a while rare enemy with a lot of health, but for the most part it's just extra damage and it's kind of cool. Fury Leap. This is your main traversal skill. I have had, for the most part, it's great. You use Fury Leap. Ailments are cleansed on landing. Preferably, you'd want to be able to cleanse ailments with your belt by drinking a potion. I don't have that. This is a good backup. Pack Leader. Your wolf, sabertooth, and raptor companions leap with you. It's cool. It's really cool, but I've discovered a bug. When you leap at like the beginning of an echo and there's no enemies, your squirrels go zooming off into space. I can demonstrate this to you right now. What's up, squirrels? Let's go. And they're gone. Where did they go? Oh, they're in outer space. They're in the next solar system. Okay. You can kind of bring them back by leaping back because now they're coming back in like the Blue Angels ready for an attack force. But for the most part, it's really annoying if you forget about it. And you Fury Leap at the beginning of an echo and then your squirrels go flying away and then there's enemies and you're like, what am I going to do? Running around. I hope they patch that bug out, but nonetheless, this is great. I still recommend Pack Leader. It's also a good way to, if there's going to be a big AoE damage where your squirrels are, you can leap the other direction and they'll follow you. It's kind of like a built-in juke for you and your squirrels. Highly recommend Pack Leader. Just hopefully they patch it. And then we got like your basic, your immune while leaping, cooldown recovery, stun chance, chance to reset Fury Leap cooldown on kill. These are all good. I'd say the ailments, cleansed on landing, and Pack Leader are your most, and Herod's Protection are your most important ones. And that is the skills. All right, let's go over the passives. 8 points in Primal Strength. We're trying to get that strength up. 5 points in Hunter's Restoration. Get that extra percentage health. 1 point in Primal Medicine. That way some of your potion drinking also goes over to the minions, kind of help heal them. Survival of the Pact gives you melee minion leech as well as your gives you melee leech damage. You leech back damage on hit, and then your minions also get a bit of leech. As far as I'm aware of, though, your minion leech and your leech are separate. Them attacking and doing damage does not give you health. You attacking and doing damage does not give them health. They are separate, as far as I'm aware of. 5 points in Berserker. If you follow the guide, you take this a little bit later on, but this is a great node. This node right here, I think, would allow you to do a low health build if you wanted. I haven't tried it, but while you're at low health, you take 20% less damage. That is huge. That is huge. Along with endurance, man, that you could definitely be running around with a low life ward build and possibly make this work. Like I said, I haven't tried it, so who knows. Great node. It's got to be one of the best nodes that the Primalist has. Let's go over to the Beastmaster. We're going to put 78 points. The way this shakes out is 25, 78, 5, 5. Assuming you get all your passive points and everything from the campaign, which I highly recommend. We're going to take 8 points in Ursine Strength, 18% reduced damage from nearby enemies, 16% reduced damage from nearby enemies. Another form of damage reduction. Yes, please. 1 point in Savagery, 1 point in Ambush, 3 points in Lamprey Teeth gives you more leech damage for you and your minions. Boar Heart, which is another form of damage reduction. It gives you aspect of the boar, which gives you even more damage reduction. You says it's a theme here, right? Damage reduction. 2 points in Boar Heart gives you a chance on melee hit to activate as aspect of the boar, which gives you damage reduction. 8 points in the Chase for minion melee attack speed, minion move speed. 3 points in aspect of the shark, which gives you a chance to, I believe, shred enemy armor. Yeah. And then 1 point in Hunters of the Deep, which increases the duration of your armor shred. 5 points in Axe and Claw, just for that extra physical damage. Remember, flat damage with minions is highly, highly recommended. 2 points in Hawk Wings. This gives you a chance to gain haste on hit. 1 point in Life in the Wilderness. Your endurance also applies to your companions. That's why you just need 1 point here. If you're at full endurance, your minions also get endurance. Works out great. 1 point in the Circle of Life. Chance to be granted Aspect of the Shark for 3 seconds. If I remember, Aspect of the Shark increases melee damage and melee attack speed. So on kill, you have a chance to gain Aspect of the Shark. But if you take 1 point in Dragon Slayer, you get a chance to gain Aspect of the Shark against bosses. Yes, helps out a lot. Viper Fangs, 10 points here. You get increased melee attack speed, your companions get melee attack speed, and you have a chance to poison the enemy. We're not really scaling with poison, but it's kind of funny to just see an enemy getting poisoned a lot. Just seeing 100 stacks of poison on an enemy that you're not really doing anything with poison damage, but nonetheless, it's kind of funny. 1 point in Nature's Embrace. This one's important. You get the +1 to maximum companions. 5 points in Cry of the Lynx. The main reason why you're doing this is to try and get the critical strike chance. When you use a companion ability, your companions are granted an aspect of the Lynx for a duration, a buff that grants 100% increased critical strike chance. 6 points in Serrated Claws gives your companions more critical strike multiplier, as well as you more critical strike multiplier. 10 points in Ancient Might gives you more strength, as well as melee physical damage and minion melee physical damage. Like I said, flat physical damage for your minions, or just flat damage at all, is important. Shaman, we take 5 points in Sky Warrior, gives us a cooldown for Fury Leap, as well as a little bit of extra damage for your minions. And then once I hit level 100, which I don't know if I'll do this cycle, but assuming I come back to Squirrels before the end of the cycle, we're going to want to put 5 points in Chitinous Plating. Reason why is you get the minion armor, 300, very nice, as well as you get endurance and armor yourself. Highly recommend. All right, everybody, this was an extremely long video. I apologize, but I just wanted to go over everything. Like I said, links are in the description down below. And yeah, if you guys like what I do here, leave a like, please subscribe, and perhaps comment on what you're doing with Squirrels or what you're doing in Last Epoch. Anyway, I'm Babbling Bike. You take care. Have yourselves a good one. Cheers.